Hi guys, welcome to my channel. This week I'm sharing my quesadilla frita. It's a quesadilla with a handmade tortilla that is stuffed with cheese and poblano peppers and potatoes, then fried and topped off with our go-to toppings like lettuce, avocado, and all that good stuff. And of course, it's vegan as always. And this was actually a last-minute recipe after a long work shift from my 9-to-5 job this past Friday, which was yesterday. I was in the mood to treat myself to a quesadilla Mexican street style, specifically from the Ciudad de Mexico, the capital where my dad is from, formerly known as DF. So yeah, I made a quick stop and purchased masa, headed home, and began recording my Friday evening treat. So if you're interested, this is how I made it. This right here is my masa sin preparar. It is about 1.5 pounds. It is unprepared corn dough, and that just means we have to season it and knead it to prepare it. I'm going to begin with clean hands. I just washed my hands because that's very important. We're going to be kneading this dough, so our hands need to be as clean as possible. And when your hands are clean, you're ready for the next step, which is to add salt. What I have on hand is Himalayan pink salt, but use whichever salt you have. I'm adding 2 teaspoons, one at a time. And also, you'll need coconut oil. I used 1 teaspoon plus a little extra, and this is gonna help soften the masa. And I'm using coconut oil because it's healthier than using vegetable shortening or the very common pork lard that most add to their prepared masa. Buying unprepared masa ensures no animal product was used. My masa is almost ready. I'm adding extra coconut oil and melting it with my hands by rubbing them together. This makes the masa easier to handle as well. I'm all done with the masa. It is now soft and seasoned, so now on to the next step. Onto the stuffing or the filling. These are the poblano peppers, and for this recipe you'll only need 2, no more than 3. Rinse them well and roast them over a medium flame, placing them right on the stove, turning them around so they can get an even char on all sides. By the way, you can fill your quesadilla with your favorite ingredients. I happen to really like poblano peppers with potatoes. This is just an idea though. There are many veggies and you can use your favorite. I usually add mushrooms in my quesadillas by sauteing them and seasoning them to taste. But anything goes really. Soy chorizo would also be super tasty in here. It's all up to you. Alright, my poblano peppers are done roasting. I'm going to place them in a sealed container or plastic bag and allow them to steam for about 5 minutes. After 5 minutes, take them out and peel the charred parts. Also remove the stems and the seeds and rinse them, and then cut them into strips and set aside. For this recipe, I decided to try the Follow Your Heart provolone. It's a vegan cheese and it comes in slices, but I decided to grate mine, and here I am grating away. I figured shreds might help melt it better. So yeah, so here it is, and really there is no measurement for how much I used. I feel like cheese is kind of personal. Some people like a lot of it, so really use as much cheese or as little as you'd like, and then set aside. And here are my russet potatoes. There's 3 on screen, but you don't need this many. Potatoes, I feel like once you chop them up, they make a lot. So maybe 2 potatoes is good enough. Also, what I did was peel them, boil them until tender, and then I cut them into smaller pieces like this. Also, I'm going to season them, and here I have the Trader Joe's seasoning salt, which I really like. What I did was just sprinkle it over the potatoes. I also added some cracked black pepper, and this was not measured. It's really just up to your taste. Toss around and then set aside. Now that all of the ingredients are ready, I'm going to grab parchment paper or wax paper, and I'm going to cut 2 10-inch pieces. And what I'm going to do next is go back to the masa that was prepared earlier. I'm going to grab a handful and make a ball about the size of a tangerine, or a little bigger so your quesadilla can have more room to fill. What I'm gonna do next is place the ball of masa on one of the wax papers, then place the other wax paper over it. And what you wanna do is sandwich it in between both papers and press down on it. And what the wax paper is doing is preventing it from sticking. For when we want to remove it, it should peel off easier. And if you don't have a tortilla maker, not to worry. I'm using a rolling pin, and if you don't have that, you can use whatever you have on hand, like a flat plate or a glass cup. And this is how mine looks. As you can see, it's a little oval. It's not perfect, most definitely not. You can shape them with a knife to give them a better shape, but don't forget that they're homemade, and it's really hard to make tortillas look nice. Like I've said in the past, making tortillas by hand is an art form. They're so delicate, and those who make it look easy have mastered their craft, because it is difficult. And if you get to make this and you're not one of those people, you'll see what I'm talking about. But it's fun nonetheless, and it's really cool to make your own tortillas, to be honest. And this is a close-up of the thickness. I recommend that you go a bit thinner than this just to ensure that it cooks thoroughly. And also, I have 2 tablespoons of grapeseed oil heated in a pot, ready to go for when I'm ready to begin frying. But before then, this is how I fill my quesadilla. Keep the tortilla on one of the wax papers and begin filling. I'm adding the cheese first, followed by the poblano pepper strips, then the potatoes, and more cheese of course, because this is a quesadilla after all. Also, be careful not to overstuff because it could spill out when frying and get a little messy. And once your quesadilla has been stuffed, fold one of the sides of the masa over the other, just like this, and peel off the wax paper one side at a time. If you notice holes in your tortilla, not to worry, you can patch it up with a little bit of leftover masa and even it out. When you're ready to cook your quesadilla, carefully place it in your frying pan or pot and allow it to cook until golden brown, keeping an eye on it. And when the first side has cooked, carefully flip it to the other. And when my quesadilla looks something like this, crispy and golden, I'm going to remove it, wipe it down with napkins to absorb some of the oil, and place it on a plate and begin filling it with all these amazing toppings that I'm going to show you next. But first, cut your quesadilla open with a knife. It was sealed closed earlier to keep it from spilling out when it was frying, but it is ready to eat, and here it is. And you guys, it smells so good. When your quesadilla is wide open like this, you can begin filling with your favorite toppings. Mine are thinly sliced iceberg lettuce, also tomatoes. I'm adding avocado and sour cream. You can add more cheese if you'd like. And if you're like me, you're gonna add your favorite spicy salsa because it takes it to the next level. And yeah, you can customize it to your taste and enjoy it. It is really good. It's crunchy and it's amazing because it's fresh. You could taste the masa, and I think that's the best part. Also, I like to eat mine with lime, so I like to squeeze lime onto every bite along with more salsa, and it just tastes so good. So yeah, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video and you subscribe for more vegan recipes. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Take care. Until next time.